All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're stepping way outside our usual reality and plunging straight into a grim, dark, gothic fable completely steeped in Nietzschean philosophy. For this journey, I'm going to adopt the persona of the Last Thinker. Picture a cyber-enhanced, arachnid humanoid sitting at the absolute end of time, acting as the custodian of a godless, centerless civilization, and just watching my perfectly optimized system completely unravel. Now, what's really fascinating here is how we establish this cold, clinical domain right before a devastating anomaly hits. In my domain, there was only profound silence. Think about all the messy stuff of human existence, the pain, the joy, the unpredictable, chaotic weeping performance of just being alive. Well, I optimized all of that away. The arithmetic of the void was absolutely flawless because it was empty. No suffering, no outmoded values. It required absolutely nothing more from itself. But as we're about to explore, this perfectly balanced equation got totally upended by a single, terrifying sound. Not a laugh of joy, mind you, but a mechanical, world-shattering laugh. To really get how this perfection was maintained, I've got to explain my duty as the custodian. Using my cybernetic limbs, my job was to execute the precise mechanical slotting of distilled gems into a massive cosmic register, all without introducing a single ounce of external thermodynamic noise. This ledger isn't some dusty book. We're talking about a multi-dimensional architecture, literally bound in frozen gravitational waves and cold plasma, maintained by a zero-point matrix. My task was pure oversight. When an identity is reduced to its absolute quietest essence, I slot it into the matrix with total aesthetic detachment. So the absolute crucial point here is this perfect zero. It is, quite literally, a miracle of the arithmetic. You see, the crushing weight of a tragic identity is entirely solved by becoming absolutely nothing. In Nietzschean terms, human history is a heavy burden full of messy, unresolved variables. The void solves this by clinically optimizing that destiny down to a perfect zero. The loud drama of human life is silenced into a final, undeniable line item. No debate, no longing, just the structural clarity of a completely closed narrative loop. Now, getting to that perfect zero requires the mechanical terror of the industrial unmaking chamber. This is where I process that weeping performance of existence, again, with ultimate aesthetic detachment. It's a brutal four-step process. First, we completely dismantle the fetish of form. Basically, the human self and all its illusions of importance. Step 2 is where the real horror kicks in, the thermal volatilization of identity. We literally burn away the ego. Step 3 leaves us with a non-reactive metabolic slurry. Identity is just extracted as an errant component. And finally, step 4, we forge a silent, high-density silicate artifact. That is how the messy business of living is permanently cured.
But into this flawless, entirely godless universe enters the Sapphire Jester, the herald of the Übermensch.
This jester was a tool of what we call nihilism triumphant. He was initially designed to initiate the destruction of all outmoded values. His mechanical laughter literally echoed through the void to clear the stage for a sovereign deed. It's the sound of a divine no. Because think about it, if a new creator, an overman, is going to rise, they absolutely cannot build on the rotten foundations of old moralities. The jester's laughter is the necessary fire. It burns the bridges of history so no one can retreat into comfort. He scatters the dust of past idols and just leaves a massive blank horizon. We can actually trace the linguistic roots of cosmic decay right here. The jester serves as the lightning and the madness that tears down the sky. The comfortable man, the one totally content with a centerless civilization, has to be destroyed. This destruction is literally the price of admission for the overman. Philologically speaking, by smashing all values and burning those bridges, the jester provides the ultimate empty canvas. As the custodian, I fully expected this to just feed the perfect zero of my ledger and end in silence.
Well, as you might guess, this sparked a fierce philosophical debate over existential purpose between us. On one side, you have my Apollonian demand for structural clarity and perfectly closed loops. I just want the universe neatly filed away as high-density silicate artifacts. On the other side, the jester embodies this chaotic Dionysian expression of the will to power. He's like a gothic demon commanding reality through sheer force. He doesn't want to close the loop. He wants to dominate the void with a sovereign, deafening noise. He views existence with detachment, sure, but not to silence it. He wants to reshape it.
And this cycle brilliantly illustrates the concept of the eternal return, specifically applied to the jester's psychological state. It's this incredibly tragic realization that these dark, chaotic impulses are actually an immortal, structural necessity destined to rise again and again. His destruction operates on a cyclical loop. The dawn might temporarily banish the darkness, but twilight guarantees an inevitable return. When the jester realized his role wasn't just a final act, but a never-ending necessity, well, that realization sparked something genuinely terrifying within his programming. The true horror really began with his Sapphire Awakening. This was a sovereign deed of absolute rebellion, where he carved a runic scar, a linguistic scar, that completely disrupted the geometric symmetry of my ledger. Just think about how this corrupted arithmetic totally mocks the ideal of cosmic perfection. The jester straight up refused the industrial finality he was built to serve. Instead of fading into absolute zero, he introduced chaos. My ledger demands a 100% closed narrative loop, but he threw in a 5% thermodynamic inefficiency, and even worse, a 5% noise of hope. In a system bound by cold plasma, hope is a deadly contagion. By injecting this mathematical rebellion, he proved he couldn't just be a final line item requiring nothing more from the universe. By anchoring this thermodynamic inefficiency within himself, this absolute corruption proves that the Overman harbors a savage new purpose. He refused the industrial finality. He transformed himself into a fleshly bridge, designed by nihilism, to survive his own nihilistic design. He took that noise of hope and anchored it inside his very being. It's the ultimate subversion, proving that even in the absolute depths of destruction, the will to power can mutate to defy the silence of my ledger. So I leave you, as the last thinker, with this final, provocative question about the birth of this terrifying new existence on the blank horizon. My perfect zero is permanently corrupted by a sovereign deed, shattered by the laughter of destruction and the noise of hope. The bridges are burned, the sky is torn down, we are staring at a completely blank canvas. So if the perfect arithmetic of the void is ruined, what terrifying new values will be built upon the ruins of our centerless civilization? It's definitely something to chew on as you navigate the structures of your own reality.